The energy is supportive this week, so you want to make sure that you use it wisely. Are these changes the changes that we need to be making, or are we throwing out something that's really solid? And how do we keep what's really solid while still making the changes that we need to make? We have faded energies and good vibes all around. Hi everyone, Heather here with Astrology with Heather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, August 23rd, all the way through to Sunday, August 29th of 2021. And this week we have faded energies and good vibes all around. A lot of the heavier influences, the more difficult aspects that we've been dealing with this year are being mitigated very heavily by positive influences by the planets this week. We have Saturn, which is retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, which has been causing us some problems this year in square with Uranus, being mitigated by a harmonious trine from the lesser benefic Venus, which is in its home sign. Saturn's in its home sign as well. We also have Mercury, which is going to be opposing Neptune and trining Pluto, which is going to cause us to think more creatively, speak more compassionately, and to amp up our intuition quite a bit as well. We do have a little bit of a dicier energy coming up with Saturn squaring the nodes. This is actually the midpoint between eclipses, which is a very faded, very karmic energy, which we will talk about in this video. But again, it's being mitigated. This influence is not as strong or as, challenging as it could otherwise be. And this is also just kind of this point of making a transition or having a continuation of the energy come up from the last eclipse cycle that's going to carry us forward into the next eclipse cycle, which will occur later on this year. But before we get into that, I just want to mention for those who are new to my channel, or even if you're not, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an important astrology update. I do a new video every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and so you don't want to miss that. Also, even if you're not new to my channel, the way that I structure my videos is that I always start with a 5 to 10 minute general astrology forecast. Don't skip this because it provides an important overview and context for the energy we'll be describing in greater detail in the forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign to get a more holistic overview for the energy for the week ahead. The rising sign will be the most predominant energy, the sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be a little bit more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I do a 2 to 3 minute overview of next week's energy so you can be even further ahead in your astrological planning, and so stick around until the end if you're interested in that. And so let's jump into this. So the start of this week in particular is very, very nice. That's when we have Venus in a really nice trine with Saturn, and also Mercury making that opposition to Neptune and that trine to Pluto. And so, this is a really nice electional energy, which means, electional astrology is the art of selecting the best timing, using the astrology, using the planetary alignments in order to plan and prepare for launching something, initiating something to ensure success in whatever it is that you're trying to initiate. And, this week is a good week for initiating a lot of different things, especially at the start of this week. So take advantage if you can. I'm personally taking advantage. I just launched my new shiny, beautiful website at astrologywithheather.com. So you can check that out if you're interested in looking at the redesign. But we're also relaunching our Cosmic Community membership. And so, right now, as we speak, the doors are open and you can actually take advantage of a 7-day free trial membership, my gift to you, so you can jump in and gain access to all of the exclusive astrology content, live gatherings, and the live 2-hour webinar we're doing next Saturday on the 28th, all about career and vocational astrology, aligning your chart with your dream job. I'm so excited for this because so many people are leaving their jobs. I just recorded a video about the Great Resignation that'll be up this week as well, from an astrological perspective. And so, if you want to get in on that, you can do it absolutely free of charge. If you start your membership now, you'll be able to attend the webinar. And even if you start it later, you can attend, or not attend, but watch the recording. And so the link for that is down in the description below. But anyway, my point is that the vibes are good. The energy is supportive this week. So you want to make sure that you use it wisely, right? Use this energy for something good in your life, to create something good, to facilitate better connections, to facilitate stronger roots. That's part of that Venus Saturn energy. Saturn has been giving us this crunchy, like really frustrated energy where we've been like feeling burdened and bogged down and restricted and limited. And there's been a lot of frustration building because of the Saturn square to Uranus and because Uranus just stationed to go retrograde, where we've been wanting to make some changes. The issue is fear, right? Are these changes the changes that we need to be making, or are we throwing out something that's really solid? And how do we keep what's really solid while still making the changes that we need to make? Well, luckily, Venus is going to help provide some balance, some harmony, some equilibrium here. And Venus is actually very supported in its home sign of Libra. And so is Saturn, you guys. Saturn is actually traditionally the ruler of the sign of Aquarius. And so we have two planets very well supported, aspecting each other in a very positive way, mitigating some of the disruptive, chaotic energies that have been thrown out from Uranus to that Saturnian energy, to that structure, to that work that we've been putting in to create a solid foundation for the future, not just for our own future, but the future for all concerned, the future that's good for, or that's best for all of humanity, for the future that's best for our children. We've been thinking about these things a little bit more so with that Saturn and Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius. And so now's a time where we can actually figure out how to come into balance between what it is that we desire, what it is that we feel frustrated with, what it is that we need to change, and what's really solid, and how we can actually not just maintain what's really solid, but utilize it, right? Utilize it for something that's going to be positive. Utilize it to create better balance and equilibrium in our lives. Utilize it to create a solid platform for really good reciprocal relationships, partnerships, connections. Use it to create a solid foundation for material like matters, for wealth, for property, for whatever it is on a material level that you're trying to create. And so this week is excellent for that. We also, as I mentioned before, have Mercury, which is also in its home sign of Virgo. We have a lot of planets, you guys, that are so supported. When a planet is in its home sign, it's literally comfortable. Like it's like it's at home. That's why it's called home, right? Where it feels like it's in its natural environment. It feels supported. It feels like it can do whatever it needs to do uninhibited. And so when we have all of these planets in their home signs, they're expressing themselves. They're expressing their energies in a way that's more positive and uninhibited, so they can live up to their full potential. And when we have Mercury in Virgo, Mercury is not just at home there, it's exalted in traditional astrology. And so we have this really powerful positive energy of Mercury enhancing communication, enhancing our rational, logical, linear thought, enhancing our ability to figure things out, to make the plans that we need to make. And it's in opposition to Neptune. So we're going to be speaking and thinking more creatively and more compassionately this week. And we're going to be able to tap into our intuition and balance that energy and that opposition between the intuition and the rational mind, the logical thought that Mercury in Virgo is bringing into the mix. And so this is really great for brainstorming and having really great ideas and having really great insights, and also just intuiting what it is that you need moving forward, intuiting the right way to approach a subject in conversation or in communication. Also, as I mentioned before, Pluto is in a trine with this energy as well, with Mercury, and in a sextile with Neptune, kind of ongoing. It's not exact right now, but it's still there. And so this is being activated this week. And so this is where our thinking will become very intuitive, very creative, very compassionate, very rational, logical, and linear at the same time. So we're balancing that energy, but also very, very precise. So basically, this energy is great for really deep, really precise, really compassionate, really meaningful conversations and connections with people on all levels. And between the Mercury energy in this, again, trine with Pluto in opposition to Neptune, and the energy of Venus in trine with Saturn, this is a really, really good week to establish really solid, meaningful, long-lasting, stable connections that are deep, right? That's that energy of Pluto. They're not just surface level connections and conversations that you're having this week. And again, especially at the start of this week, in fact, I actually chose Monday as the electional date for my monthly electional astrology guide, which is available exclusively to the members of my cosmic community. And again, you can check that out for free, 7 days free trial membership down in the description below if you want to learn more about the best and worst days this month, next month, all the months in the future if you're a member of the cosmic community. Yeah, that's about it. So let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. Saturn is trining Venus in your 11th and in your 7th house. This is a really great social week, especially for reestablishing old connections or resolidifying old connections and making them much more solid and stable and long lasting moving forward. So if you are working on repairing the foundations of a relationship, this is a good week where you can find balance, equilibrium, and you can make progress that will be long lasting. This is also a really good week for creating or coming into new long-term partnerships. And so this is actually a really good week to meet someone or to connect with somebody for the first time, romantic or, otherwise. So this could be an important friendship coming in. This could be an important business partnership coming in, an important new connection through your networks coming in this week. But this is especially a good energy because Saturn's in retrograde for restabilizing old connections, old partnerships, old friendships, old relationships. And so again, this doesn't have to be like your marriage partnership necessarily or a long-term committed partnership like in a romantic sense. This could be you re-solidifying and reestablishing your connection and making it more solid in an important friendship, in an important contractual relationship or agreement, in an important work-related or business-related partnership. It's one-on-one connections in general that you want to create more stability, more harmony, and more reciprocity around. This week is the week where that can absolutely happen for you. Also, this energy of Mercury. So, this is happening in your sixth house. And so, there's something really important that you need to discuss, or potentially an important message coming in this week through your work, especially through employees, coworkers, your day to day work life and experience. If there's an important project that you're working on and you want to just put it out there, or you need to collaborate or get some opinions or some outside insight into, this is a really good week to do that as well, or to dive deep into some sort of research for a work-related purpose or for a health-related purpose. Maybe you've been dealing with some sort of issue around your health or your daily routines, and you're looking for a solution. This is a week where you could absolutely find that, and the solution is going to be very precise. It's going to come from a high place of authority, from somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. And this is the week that you're going to find the answers that you're seeking much more easily than, the previous weeks. And for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this Saturn trying to Venus is happening in your 6th and in your 10th house. This is great news for career. If you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising, and you've been working on reestablishing yourself in a new field, if you've been working on making changes or working really hard toward some big career goal or plan, or if you've been struggling and having limitations, restrictions, this heaviness, this weight, this extra added responsibility around career, around work, around your public standing in some way, now's a week where you can come back into balance and you can come back into equilibrium. Part of that balance and equilibrium will come through your connections with coworkers and will come through you creating better harmony, better beauty, better tranquility, better equilibrium. That's a good word for Venus in general, especially when it's in its home sign of Libra. Better equilibrium around your work and potentially even your work-life balance. And then again, for those of you who are Taurus, sun, moon, or risings who are having struggles or issues with your career, you're having trouble figuring out what you should be doing, what your strengths are, how to align yourself with the best possible option. I do have a webinar coming up this Saturday all about career, right? It's all about career and vocation in astrology, aligning your birth chart with your dream job. And again, you can join a 7-day free trial of the Cosmic Community, which is where this webinar will be hosted, in order to watch this absolutely free of charge. So the link for that is down in the description below. But For those, even if you're not in that space, this is a really good time for you to reestablish good boundaries or better boundaries, especially with your employees or coworkers, if that's something that you've been working on or that you feel like you need, because it'll be much more well received. And this is a better time to create and establish better boundaries. Again, that work-life balance, in order to improve your health, right? In order to improve your day-to-day experience and well-being. This Mercury energy is happening in the fifth house, and so you might be having a lot of fun, really flirty, playful conversations this week. This is also a really good time to go really in depth in researching and learning about, and maybe even getting some sort of higher educational pursuit in motion, involving something that you're really passionate about, something that you really love, something that brings you so much joy in your life. And this could also be you kind of helping, if you have like a child, especially a child who's like in high school or something like that, you could be helping a child figure their stuff out when it comes to their educational path moving forward. And this would actually be a really great week for you to step in, give some insight, help with that research. And I think it would go quite well. I know that's very specific, but every time I say something really, oddly specific, there is always somebody in the comments who's like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm helping my child pick out a college right now. Or I'm helping them figure out or plan for the future. So that's what's going on for Taurus. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Geminis, this Saturn trine to Venus is happening in your ninth and in your fifth house. This is a really good week to get clear about, like, if you're trying to figure something out involving your education, especially higher educational pursuits, if you're trying to figure something out involving your beliefs and ideologies and how those fit in with your new paradigm, with the changes that you're trying to make in your life, if you're trying to figure something out involving travel plans or a long distance move or connections with people in foreign countries, this is a week where you can solidify something. This is a week where you can make a commitment, and it might actually be very beneficial to you, where it might bring you a lot of joy and a lot of joy and a lot of like excitement and passion and just really good energy into the future. It'll help you to feel much more balanced if you reach out, or if you join that program, or if you make those plans this week, especially because if you are a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, Saturn and Venus, it's also making like a grand trine with the North Node, which would be on your ascendant. So if you're an ascendant sun or moon, Gemini, anywhere from like 5 to 10 degrees, you're going to be feeling this the most, and you're going to be feeling this very positively. This could actually be a fated week where you are kind of thrown into a new paradigm, but that paradigm is long lasting. That paradigm is really solid. That paradigm is more in alignment with your passions, your joy, and also it's much more in alignment with your integrity and with your moral and ethical value systems, with what you believe. This other thing that's going on here is the Mercury energy, which is happening in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate. If there is something that you're researching or planning involving your home, your property, your place of living, or your family members, now's a time where you can really get to the bottom of things and figure things out. This would be a good week for Geminis to secure some sort of financing involving your home or property, or to get like an investor for your business or something like that too. This would also be a really good week to dig deep and to heal through ancestral wounds or family traumas, and it would come about very easily, and it could come about through actual conversations or research into your family lineage. So that's what's going on for Gemini. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, this energy is happening in your fourth and in your eighth house for the Saturn trine to Venus. And this is actually, again, a really positive energy. And so if you've been having some sort of struggle involving like internal fears or anxieties, fear around death, that could be a big one too, with Saturn transiting the eighth house, fear around finances. This is a week where you're going to come back to a place of stability. You're going to figure things out a little bit more easily, especially with the help of your family or people who are kind of behind the scenes rooting for you, supporting you in some way. If you have been struggling to create the resources that you need in order to secure some sort of property or a loan for property or something like that, this is a week where you might have an easier time doing that, and where the benefits could be very fruitful in the long term, maybe not as much in the short term, but definitely this is like you looking at the long game, right? This is you looking at delayed gratification and what's best for your future. It could even be that some money comes in through the family and you decide to put it away in savings or invest it in some way instead of using it in a way that's more frivolous, so that way you can get what you want when it comes to your roots and your solid foundation for the future. This is also, again, a really good week to connect with family members, to create more solid bonds, to establish better roots with your family. And then this Mercury energy, this is a great week for you to connect, to have really powerful, really deep conversations with not just your family, but like anyone and everyone. This is a really great social week for Cancers, for you to learn and explore and expand your mind, to do really deep research, to have really interesting, really deep, really compassionate, really creative conversations with people. And this is a really great week to have conversations that help deepen your connections one-on-one with people. So great week overall. For Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leos, this energy is actually happening in your third and in your seventh house for the Saturn trine to Venus. I actually really love this energy so if you have been somebody who's a Leo who's been struggling with a lot of change or a lot of burden or a lot of stress or a lot of strain on your relationships, this is a week where things can lighten up, and it'll lighten up through having very good, reciprocal, level-headed conversations with your partner. And that could be partnership in marriage, business, friendship, whatever. But if you've been struggling with interpersonal issues this year, which a lot of Leo rising people, that's definitely the case, and even some Leo sun and moon people, then this is a week where you can establish better boundaries. You can have a better reciprocal relationship. This would actually be a really great week to get some sort of mediator for some sort of like legal battle, or for some sort of negotiation, or for like a relationship issue. This could be a really good time to go to couples counseling. Like that could actually be super, super helpful in the long term for your relationship moving forward. But this is a really good time for establishing or reestablishing really solid one-on-one connections. This is also really great energy for, finances and making plans around your money and resources, especially as it relates to connecting with what you truly and deeply desire for yourself when it comes to your work. And that's that Pluto energy in your sixth house of work, health, and daily routines, and Mercury and Neptune in your second and eighth house, which are the financial houses. And so if you're somebody who's looking to connect with what you truly and deeply desire and channel that into your work and channel that into your plans for your financial future, now's a time where you can make some headway. You can really figure things out and find the answers. In fact, if you're somebody who's working on that, especially because you have the Saturn-Uranus square with Uranus in your 10th house, if you're looking to make a career change, I have a 2-hour webinar coming up this Saturday on the 28th, which I mentioned at the start of this video. I highly recommend tuning in. You can get a 7-day free trial of the Cosmic Community, which is where the webinar is being hosted, down in the description below. And I feel like you could, get a little bit of insight into where things are headed, or where you might want to go, or where your strengths are, so you can play to those a little bit more. So that is my free gift to you, Leo, with all of your T-squares going on this year. But yeah, this week is actually, and this could be the week where you figure it out, right? This really could be the week where you figure things out and you get your ducks in a row financially, and when it comes to your work, especially on a day-to-day level, and what you need to keep in touch or to get in touch with your deepest and truest desires. Also, good health week too, and a good week for making plans or cutting things out or detoxing when it comes to food specifically, or nutrition specifically. All right, and then for Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgos, this energy of Venus and Saturn is happening in your second and in your sixth house. Another, energy here, which is really good for creating long-term plans and stability when it comes to your work, your health, your daily routines, and also your finances. So this is especially prevalent for work and financial situations. If you've been struggling and feeling like you're so burdened and so bogged down, and you need to make changes, and maybe changes are happening when it comes to your day-to-day habits and routines, and especially when it comes to your work connections or your work habits, your work routines, your overall career path in general. This is a good week where you can find some balance, some equilibrium. You can re-solidify the things in your work that are solid, that are meaningful, that are useful to you, while also creating a better situation for yourself in the future, especially financially. This is a really good financial week, I would say, for a lot of Virgos. Again, this is a general forecast. Not every single person will be affected the exact same way. But in general, it's a good week for that. Maybe financial negotiations or signing a contract for a job or something like that. Also, if you are somebody who's looking for, a new avenue for creating resources, which you might be with this energy, again, I just want to mention I have a webinar coming up in my Cosmic community all about career and vocation in astrology on August 28th. You can sign up for the Cosmic community 7-day free trial down in the description below. Join in on the webinar. My gift to you to help you figure all this out. But this is a week where, in general, even if you don't attend the webinar, which you should, you'll probably be figuring some stuff out. It'll get a little easier for you. The energy of Mercury in your sign, especially if you're a Virgo sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees, you're going to be feeling this very, very positively. You're going to be feeling much more compassionate. You're going to be very insightful. You're going to be able to cut through any chaos, any noise, and get to the bottom of whatever it is that you're thinking about, that you're stressing about, that you're trying to plan, that you're trying to sort through. This is a good week for that. This is also a really great week for compassionate connections with other people, for learning something new, especially learning something new that you're deeply passionate about and that you're super, super drawn to. Like, this is Pluto in your 5th house. This is you getting in touch with your desires and your passions that bring you the most joy and the most meaning in your life, right? That creative self-expression. And this is a week where you can do that, especially in one-on-one situations. This would also be a really romantic week for a lot of Virgos. So this would be a good week for romance for some of you. So yeah, a lot of good stuff going on for Virgo. Okay, and then for Libra and for Libra rising. Libras are having some really good energy this week with this Saturn trine to Venus. Venus is in your sign. Its home sign, right? And so, first off, if you're a Libra, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees, you're going to be feeling this the most, and you're going to be feeling this very positively. This is a fated energy because it's combining with the energy of the North and South nodes mid eclipses, right? That's part of what we're going through right now this week with the sun squaring the nodes, and it's making a grand trine in your sign, and so you're going to be having some very fated, very karmic changes coming your way that are going to be very solid, very stabilizing, very long lasting. You're kind of reharmonizing this week in a lot of ways between who you are, the way that you show up in the world, and your beliefs, your ideologies, your moral and ethical value systems, right? Your perspective on life, and also, integrating that energy of what you're passionate about and kind of integrating it in small, stable ways every single day, a little bit more so. That could be a part or a result of this energy in some way. But the main takeaway is that you're going to be able to take what you're passionate about and do it in a way that's very practical and very useful. So a lot of you might be thinking about taking a side hustle and turning it into a business or something like that. This is also a really great energy for you for relationships. This is a really great energy for repairing or rebuilding your health. This is a really great energy for doing some sort of makeover or changes to your appearance that are intended to be very positive and also long lasting, more subtle and more conservative with that Saturn energy, but still something that's going to be very positive. You're going to feel more attractive this week, even if you don't make those changes. But if you do, I mean, it's good energy for a lot of you. Again, general forecast, not the same for every single person, but for a lot of you, this is great energy. So good energy for relationships, good energy for your self-confidence and feeling good about yourself, good energy for connecting to your passions, all of that. And the other thing that's going on is this Mercury energy. So kind of behind the scenes, you're going to be talking about or thinking about something really in depth or really in detail, potentially involving your work or involving your home life or your home environment or your connections with your family. It could even be that you're talking in secret to somebody behind closed doors, like a family member, about something that you're trying to figure out, that you're trying to pinpoint, and you probably will make a lot of headway. This is also a really good week for journaling or for deep introspective work or sort of creative self-expression that's really deep and really emotionally connected, or for connecting to a new spiritual practice or an old spiritual practice. This is a good week for reflection and internalization. And then for Scorpios and for Scorpio rising. So for Scorpios, this Saturn trine to Venus is happening in your 12th and in your fourth house. And so there's something you've been working on involving your home, your property, your place of living, or your family that's been stressing you out. Maybe there's like a lot of extra burden in the home. And now's a time where you're finally going to be able to come into a place of equilibrium where your home will feel like a sanctuary for you this week for a lot of you. And so if there's been a lot of disruption, if there's been a lot of responsibility, if there's been a lot of extra weight in your family relationships or in your home environment in general, this is going to be a week where you're going to find solace, and that's going to be long lasting. Whatever change you make or whatever balance you come to, it's something that's going to benefit you in the long term. This could also be a great week to do some sort of small project or a renovation type of activity, not something super disruptive, but something like painting, or beautifying something, or buying new furniture where it's really positive, it's low key, it creates better tranquility and better, just more beauty, right? More beauty, more Venus, right? More beauty, more joy, more harmony in your home environment. It makes it feel more luxurious and more tranquil. The energy of Mercury, it's happening in the 11th house. And so this is a really, really great week for you to connect with friends. This is a great week for you to collaborate, to network, to connect with new people. That's why I'm opening the Cosmic Community up again this week, because I am a Virgo sun. I'm a Scorpio rising. This is happening in my 11th house, and I want to build more community and connect with more of you. Again, free trial down in the description below. But it's a good week to form really solid, really compassionate, really spiritually based connections with people, and to learn and grow and communicate, or through those communications with the people that you're networking with the people that you're connecting with. And even if you're not connecting with new people, this is a great week to deepen your connections with the people that you love already, with your friends, with your tribe, with the people that you surround yourself with by choice. You're going to have some very insightful conversations this week. And yeah, I really, really love this energy for Scorpio. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this energy of Saturn in trine with Venus is happening in your third house and in your 11th house, another good social energy. So this is really good for reestablishing connections with friends, social networks, people that you surround yourself with by choice that can be really solid, really long lasting. You're sort of re-solidifying those partnerships or those relationships or those connections that are really good in your life, especially if you're a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising anywhere between 5 and 10 degrees. You're going to be feeling this really, really positively, and you might have some fated new connections coming in relationship this week that are going to throw you in a new direction, but that direction is going to be stabilizing and harmonizing and long lasting. And so this is a really, really great energy between the Saturn, Venus trine, and the nodes and what's going on there. This is a good week to reach out to establish a new tribe or to make the connections that you need to make with a group of people or even one-on-one. So if that's something you've been thinking about doing, like creating new friendships or solidifying the old ones, this is a good week for that. Definitely just be social. Good things will come, positive things will come from socializing and social connections this week. The other thing that's going on is that Mercury is in Virgo. And so Mercury is transiting your 10th house, which is the house of career, public reputation, your legacy that you leave behind after work, what it is that you put out there in the world, your relationship with people in positions of power and authority, all of that. Good vibes all around for those topics, especially in communication. This is a good week to have an important communication come through with somebody who is in a position of power and authority in your life, like a boss or a superior or somebody who you look up to in your field. This is a great week to really hone in on what you truly and deeply desire for yourself, not just career-wise, but financially, and to hone in on your work-life balance that you want for yourself and to establish something there, to create new plans there. Again, if you're somebody who is making a career switch or looking at, changing things up when it comes to your work, I do have a webinar for my Cosmic Community, which you can join absolutely free, 7-day free trial, down in the link in the description below. And you can jump right in and join the webinar all about career and vocation if that's something that's interesting to you this coming weekend on the 28th. All right. And then for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. So for Capricorns, this energy is happening in your second and in your 10th house. For those of you who are Capricorn risings in particular, this is going to be a big week for establishing something really positive, really new, really solid for yourself when it comes to your career, your public reputation, your notoriety, the legacy that you leave behind after work, and how that relates to your foundation for your finances into the future. And so this could be a really good week to reestablish something that was already really good. So maybe you're just refining your financial plans. You're just refining what it is that you're creating and doing out in the world. You're just refining the legacy that you're leaving behind in some way, and you're making it much more beautiful, balanced, and harmonious moving forward. Or maybe you're starting, like if you are somebody who is like asking for a raise or getting a promotion or starting a new job right now, this would be a really positive energy actually for kind of moving into that. So if that's something that you're thinking about, this is the week to do it, the week to reach out to your boss or to take on that additional responsibility. Because even if it's not giving you a giant financial windfall right now, this is about the long-term impact and how this is going to benefit you well into the future. And this week is a very beneficial week for that. So definitely something to think about. Again, career and vocational astrology webinar, August 28th. You can actually click the link for the Cosmic Community to get a free trial and join in on that if you're somebody who is working on some career changes, which a lot of people in general are. Capricorns this week, though. Okay, and then for the Mercury energy, this is a great week for you to connect with somebody at a distance. This is a really great week for you to learn something new or communicate something new. If you've been thinking about teaching or sharing some sort of important information on a broader scale, or maybe writing a book or publishing something, something that goes really in depth, something that's much more rooted in something truthful, deep, secretive, something that is rooted in something very compassionate. This could actually be a really great week for you to learn or teach about something involving spirituality, spirituality or occult sciences or something along those lines. Capricorns would have the green light for that. This is also a great travel week, especially for like a short, quicker trip. But in general, just travel to kind of reconvene, decompress, get in touch with what it is that you truly deeply need and desire, with who you truly are. If you need to get away from the world in order to do that, this is the week to do it. I mean, great energy for that. All right, and then for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this Saturn trine to Venus is happening in your first and in your ninth house. This is a really great week for Aquarius is to branch out and think about learning something new. So Aquarius has been going through a big cosmic reset, right? You've had Saturn transiting your first house, Saturn transiting your ascendant. It's squeezing out all of the excess and leaving you with just the nectar, just what you need. And it's leaving you with the core essence of who you truly are, but you're getting rid of any baggage, any burdens, any extras that are not necessarily yours to carry, because you're feeling the weight of them much more so right now. Now's a time where you're going to connect what you're building, who you're becoming, what you're creating for yourself. You're connecting that with your integrity, with your moral and ethical value systems, with your ideologies, with your perspective on the world, and merging that into sort of one thing so you're acting more out of integrity. This is also a great week for a learning or educational pursuit or travel plans. I think they could go quite well and have some long-term benefits that you might not even be aware of right now, especially if you're an Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees. You're going to be feeling the positive potential of this most. And that grand trine that's forming too with the North Node, which is in Gemini, in between eclipses at the eclipse midpoint right now. I mean, this is a fated energy. This is where you're going to be thrown into something long-term that's not only connected to your integrity, it's not only going to expand your mind and broaden your horizons, but it's also going to be deeply rooted in what you're passionate about, what excites you, what lights you up. This could also involve some sort of change or transition or long-term plan involving your children or your children's education, if that's applicable to you. And so all of these things are looking good. The Mercury energy is happening in your 8th house. That's kind of an interesting house for Mercury. You're not going to be wanting to have any sort of surface level conversations or small talk this week. This is a week about going deep. This is also a really good week for financial planning, especially for financial planning involving like a will or a trust or inheritance or, life insurance. Insurance is an eighth house thing too. So like insurance, this would be a really great week to do some financial planning in partnership with somebody, business partnership, romantic partnership, or otherwise. This is where you're going to be kind of behind the scenes plotting and planning in that way. And the benefits of this could actually be quite fruitful for you because you're going to be very precise in your analysis of where you should be putting your money or investing it. And you're also going to be very precise in, or very intuitive too. So it's not just guided by rationality, it's also guided by what feels right. That combination is pretty fruitful more times than not. And so, so we'll see what happens for Aquarius there. So good week for deep conversations, figuring things out financially, all of that. All right, for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, the energy of Venus in trine with Saturn that's happening in your 8th and in your 12th house, this is a little bit different for Pisces. There's something that you're probably working on really letting go of. You're letting go of a part of who you are. You're letting go of old cycles, old addictions, old compulsions, old habits, old routines that are no longer of service to you. Now's a week where you can sort of come back into balance and start to see the results of that. I would say this is also a week where you could be doing something where you're like hiding money or doing something with your finances behind the scenes that could be fruitful into the future. This is a really good time for long-term financial planning, involving investments, involving savings, involving joint financial ventures, involving paying off debts, securing some sort of financing or loan or something like that, especially for a home. That could be applicable for some Pisces people. This is a good week for all of those things. And this is also a really good week for deep healing, especially psychological healing. So if you're somebody who struggles with addiction or compulsive behaviors, if you're somebody who's more obsessive, if you're somebody who has anxiety issues or past trauma or past wounds that you're working to heal through, this is a week where you can go deep and break those cycles. So powerful healing week on that internal psychological level for a lot of Pisces. Also, the energy of Mercury is happening in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. Any one-on-one relationship is applicable here. So this is a week where you can have really good, really intense, really deep conversations in partnership with other people, and especially, I would say, especially in friendship, more so even than romantic partnerships. Although that can be applicable definitely because Pluto's in your 11th house, which is the house of friendship. It's the house of group connections. You're going to have a lot of really powerful insights and get to the bottom of things. And you're going to get to know your crew, your tribe, your friends, your circle a lot more deeply and a lot more intimately through the connections that you make with them this week. And so it's important that you do that because you're going to get some really loyal, trustworthy connections out of it that might stand the test of time, that might be with you for quite a while. And so even new connections coming in will be that way. You'll be able to pick up on it real easy, real fast. You'll be like, okay, I can feel this person out. I know exactly, I see where they're coming from. This is my person, right? This is the person I want to connect with. This is the type of friend I want to have. And those types of connections can come up absolutely this week. But great week for socializing, great week for connections and conversations. Maybe not for a big party or something like that, but for having those deep, those meaningful connections with people for Pisces and for Pisces rising. All right. And so that was the forecast for all 12 signs. So let's get into next week's energy. So next week, midweek, the big energy is actually that we'll have Mars opposing Neptune. And that's actually Mercury, sorry. No, Mars opposing Neptune. I am correct. I have the wrong thing pulled up. We'll have Mars opposing Neptune. This energy historically has not been great in the collective. It's been a little dicey. Otherwise, we have really good vibes next week. So it just kind of depends on how this is sitting in your chart and how this is showing up for you personally, which we'll get into next week, of course, in our extended forecast for all 12 signs. But, I've seen a lot of sort of false flag types of energies or very bizarre types of occurrences that happen in the collective where there's like multiple narratives around it and nobody's clear on what's the truth and what's actually happening. And I do quotations because I don't know that all of these things